Okay, so question number 5. Before I was doing some graphing, I'm just gonna go to the home screen, to the regular screen where there's no graphing. Just hit the home button down here, first column, third button down. So we're back to the home screen. And now I'm going to use the solver. Now, by the way, this is question 1 from the previous. I already know what the answer is going to be, but I just want you to show you that the solver will do the same thing. So there are 2 options. Number 1, I can just enter everything as is into the solver. So I'm going to go ahead and put in, we're going to do some algebra, which is a solver. So that's F2, just to show you. You see the menu F2 is algebra. And we're going to choose solve, choice number 1. And we're going to solve the first equation, or the equation absolute value of x minus 1 is equal to 5. And we're going to enter it just as is. So remember, when I was putting in absolute value, I am going to go into math to find the absolute value. So that's the blue button and then the number 5. It's the absolute value is in numbers, so choice 1, or you could use the arrow key just to get, and I want absolute value, which is choice number 2. So now I have absolute value of x minus 1, end parenthesis for the absolute value, and then equals, and the equal sign is right in the first column, the 5th button down, equals, and then the number 5. And your calculator can actually solve. This can solve literal equations, so you have to tell the calculator what to solve for, or else it doesn't understand you. So you're going to have to write that the absolute value of x minus 1 is equal to 5, comma, 4x. You're going to tell the calculator solve for x. So that is the vernacular, end parentheses. It may be a good idea just to write down the vernacular just for now, especially when it's new for you, to write down that comma x means that you have to tell the calculator what to solve for. So, and then you just hit enter. So you're asking the calculator, we know the answer already, but watch what happens. It solves it for you, the whole thing. And it gives you the solution set. X is equal to 6 or x is equal to -4. So that's what we need to write down. So I wrote down the vernacular for you. Like I said before, it may be a good idea just to have it somewhere written down, not just in a video, just so you remember that you have to put 4x on the end of that. And proper notation, by the way, here. Sorry, my iPad is over here, so I can write x such that x is equal to -4, 6. There you go, using the solver. I'm just going to show you a different way, because I was sneaky a little bit because I knew I was using the same questions from before. So I still have stored in my calculator these functions in y1. So I'm just going to show you here, y1. Here's my y1 and y2. That's the left and right hand side. I'm just going to go ahead and activate both of them again. So I'm going to use the arrow up key and hit F4 to activate my y1, and my y2 I'm also going to activate because I'm going to use them in a minute. So the other option would be to do this. Go to the home screen and use the solver. And by the way, a side note, your calculator will always in the active bar write the previous thing you had, okay? Clearly, I've already typed this in, but I just want to show you that you get the same answer, especially when it's complicated functions that we're putting in on the left and the right hand side. Sometimes it's a very good idea to write them out in y1 and y2, because you can see if you remember to put the parentheses in the right place, because it will write it. It's called pretty script. It'll write, for example, the whole numerator over the whole denominator, instead of having this calculator lingo that's hard to kind of for your eye to understand. So I often, when it's complex functions that I'm using to solve, I often write them in y1 and y2, regardless of what I'm asked to do. But that means you have to learn how to use the proper vernacular here as well. So then I'm going to first of all clear what's there, and then I'm going to use the solver again. So remember, algebra menu is F2, so F2. I'm going to use the solver, choice number 1. But now I'm going to say, okay, remember that function that I had in y1? That's the one I want you to use, calculator. So I'm going to type in y1, but it doesn't understand y1. Y1 to it means like take the whatever you have stored in y and multiply by 1. It needs function notation. So you need to use y1 of x. When you write it like that, you're telling the calculator, oh, go grab that function you wrote in y is equal to. I don't mean take y times the number 1. I mean use that function and set that equal to whatever I wrote in y2. So that means you could have two very complex functions you're trying to find or solve on either side of the equal sign, and you can still have the calculator do this. But you still have to use function notation on both sides in this case. Now, this is not a very complicated function, so like it makes sense just to type it out normally, but I'm just showing you the vernacular for it. So it's saying take the function in y1 and set equal to the function in y2 and solve that for x. So you have to write comma x, end parenthesis, enter. And it gives you the same solution. I would write down the vernacular for that also, just so you understand. In the home screen, if you're referencing something from the y is equal to screen, use function notation.